Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone.
Thank you, President Benici. This meeting is being held in accordance with the schedule of meetings adopted at the organizational meeting held January 6, 2021. Adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Kenilworth Board of Education has been provided to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the local source on January 8, 2021. A copy has been filed with the Kenilworth Borough Clerk, posted in the board office, Kenilworth Borough Hall, Burley and Harding Schools, as provided by the Open Public Meetings Act. COVID-19 compliance was updated on December 14, 2020. This will be an in-person meeting. The meeting location has been moved to the David Burley Cafeteria due to COVID-19 modifications to indoor capacities issued by the state of New Jersey. Indoor participation is limited due to the social distancing requirements and the size of the meeting room. The Board of Education therefore has calculated that about 30 members of the public will be able to participate in person. In accordance with Board of Education bylaw 0164.6, remote public meetings during a declared emergency, and in an effort to encourage and increase public participation, the meeting will be live streamed. And the public will be able to view via a YouTube live stream. The link will be available at 7:30 p.m. by clicking on the Board of Education tab on the district homepage, then the Board of Education YouTube channel tab, where you'll be able to see the live stream icon. If members of the public are unable to attend the meeting in person and do not have internet access to watch the live stream, they will have an opportunity to call in to listen to the meeting. Members of the public requesting this accommodation must request to do so by 3 p.m. prior to meeting to obtain call-in information and passcodes. Those requests should be directed to Angela Sandell at 908-276-1644, extension 1550. Public comments will be accepted this evening as follows: electronically via to publiccomments@kenilworthschools.com. These messages must be received by 4 p.m. on the night of the meeting. All emails received by the deadline will be read during the public comment section of the meeting, in person at the meeting venue during the public section of the meeting, and finally by calling into the meeting venue at 908-931-9696, extension 2325, during the public comment section of the meeting. In accordance with Board of Education bylaw 0155.1, board member participation at board meetings using electronic devices, the board members will have an opportunity, if needed, to participate via the Zoom meeting platform.
Thank you, Mr. Ganella. Please rise and join us in the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ganella, can we please have a roll call?
Yes. Biner. Here. Braun.
Here.
David.
Here.
Drogan. Haberther.
Here.
Jankowicz.
Here.
Ladati.
Here.
Panici.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. Can we please have a motion to accept the minutes from February 8th, 2021?
So move.
Okay. Can I have a second, please? Okay. Motion made by Mr. Haberther, seconded by Mr. Jankowicz. All those in favor of receiving the minutes from February 8th, 2021, please say aye.
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 Great. Mr. Ganella, reading and acceptance of the monthly correspondence.
Yes, we have one piece of correspondence this month. We have an email dated 3/3 from myself to Assembly Munez regarding Chapter 44.
Okay, great. Can we please have a motion to accept the monthly correspondence?
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Haberther. All those in favor of accepting public correspondence, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Mr. Arlington, report and presentations.
Good evening. March is a long month, so I'm happy to fill it with some good cheer. We're going to start tonight's meeting by spotlighting some of the great work happening in Brearley Middle High School by honoring some semester students of the year, as well as spotlighting our new robotics club. For both of these presentations, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Davies.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to recognize some of our David Brearley seniors, as well as our robotics club. So I have the privilege to recognize 4 of our students of the first semester. So we have 4 seniors here tonight, and I just want to take a moment to speak about each one of them briefly, and then call them up for a brief word from them about their goals and aspirations post-Brearley. And then after that, I'd like to just recognize our robotics club who are on Zoom and have them highlight some of the activities that they've been up to. So first, with our student spotlights, congratulations to Isabella Ushak, who has distinguished herself in the David Brearley community throughout her high school career. She's a top-performing student carrying AP and honors classes. Isabella balances her academic life with her extracurricular activities. She's a member of student council as well as all 3 of David Brearley varsity cheerleading squads and was captain of the fall cheerleading squad. Her coach considers her a terrific role model for the underclassmen members. And Isabella has been a role model and a leader throughout her time here, and she has made an impact on me in my short time at David Brearley. So I want to congratulate and honor Isabella Ushak. Come on up. Also tonight we have senior Derek Gratian. Derek is a senior captain of the Brearley football team. He's a highly respected student in the school community. He is described as an effective collaborator with his peers and conscientious in his work with the peer advisory group. Derek is a leader among his peers and within the entire David Brearley school community. The respect that Derek has from faculty, staff, and students is given because of the respect he shows to everyone else around him. So it's also an honor to recognize Derek Gratian tonight. Also, Annabelle Klinder. She is a talented David Brearley High School senior who has been a strong creative force throughout the 4 years of her high school career. Annabelle balances demanding course loads with extracurricular activities and volunteer work. She's a member of Chorale and the Color Guard. Annabelle also lends her extensive talents to the theatrical productions at our school. She is co-editor-in-chief of the Bear Print and volunteers outside of school at the Kenilworth Annual Health Fair and Rabies Clinic. Congratulations to Annabelle. And also with us tonight are Brian Martinez. Brian is a hardworking David Brearley High School senior who has impressed his teachers with his positive attitude and his desire to always be learning. Brian was a senior leader for David Brearley varsity soccer, where he helped lead the team to the sectional finals this past fall. His performance during the season earned him all conference first team honors. Brian is also a leader outside of the team, and he's a leader within our school. So congratulations to Brian Martinez. So each of these 4 seniors, I just want to give kudos to, because not only have you demonstrated leadership in all of your time at David Brearley, but throughout the pandemic, I think you guys have maintained your grades, you have maintained the standards of excellence of David Brearley, and you have raised the level of excellence for all of us. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of the school. And if you could each just hop over here real quick. I know you don't really want to do this, but we're going to ask you anyway to come on over and just say a brief word about where you're headed or what you're up to in your futures.
Hello, my name's Isabella Ushak. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I'm not really sure where my future is headed yet because I have not committed to a college, but I plan on heading hopefully into a city. I like the big city life, and because of that, I plan on majoring in business. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Derek Gratian. I played football for a huge part of my life. I'm going to be going to Muhlenberg College in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and also playing football there. I'm going to be majoring in biology, and hopefully I want to become a dentist one day. So.
Hi, I'm Annabelle Klinder, and I do not also know where I'm going to go to college, but I do plan on majoring in engineering and getting a minor in biology. And thank you all for being here, I guess.
Wow, this is a crowd. My name is Brian Martinez. Although I'm not originally from Kenilworth, Kenilworth in a lot of ways has been my home the past 4 years. Academically, I was recently admitted into the Rutgers University School of Arts and Sciences, so it's possible that I'll be attending there for my next 4 years. As far as majors go, I'm not sure yet, but I'm heavily guided in political science and business, but wherever interests if they take me, I'll pursue them just as well as I pursued them here. Thank you.
They're all seniors, right? Yes. Let's move in front of the seniors, both in order.
Got some incoming parents, so everyone stay put for a minute. Go ahead, just take pictures, go ahead. Don't anybody move. There are so few mom moments this year, you gotta let them happen.
So as our seniors go back to their seats, just again, congratulations to them. Personally, I've gotten to know each of them, which is hard to do in this kind of environment with our pandemic, and it's been great because they have taught me the great things about David Brearley and the student, and they're wonderful representatives of our student population. So it's an honor to recognize you guys tonight, and congratulations again. I'd like to transition to our robotics club, and fascinatingly, our robotics club is in its infancy. So two students, Nan Shah and Dennis Shestak, came to me in October, and they wanted to start a robotics club. And it was great to see the energy behind them, both ninth graders. And so we said, sure, let's do this. And so thankfully, thanks to the Board of Education, you approved their creation as an official school club in December. And they have been hard at work since then, so I thought this is a great opportunity for our robotics club to just show off what they've been up to. They've been through a lot of challenges in their time during this pandemic, and I think that's one of the best things about what they have to share with you, is that they've overcome some challenges, and they haven't overcome others. So with us tonight are Nan Shah, Dennis Shestak, Kevin Batista, Michael Andre, and Hector Theroux, along with their advisor, Ms. Kayla Khaled. So I'm going to turn this over to them, and I think they have a few things that they want to say, and just a quick demonstration of a few of our Arduino, right?
Yes, good evening, members of the Board of Education, Mr. Arlington, Mr. Davies, Dr. Lott, and the Kenilworth community. Thank you for the opportunity to spotlight the David Brearley Robotics Club this evening. The members of the club are a fantastically determined group of young people who demonstrate an eagerness for knowledge. This club embodies 21st century skills, and these students are finding ways to incorporate engineering, ingenuity, future-ready skills, and a love of technology into a challenging year. It's not easy to have a virtual robotics club, but this group takes a challenge as an opportunity. These students rise several times a week to this challenge. Please allow me to introduce one of the founders, Nan Shah.
Thank you, Mrs. Kelly. Good evening, Superintendent Arlington, board members, Mr. Davies, Dr. Lott, and the Kenilworth community. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to be here and speak to you. And I just wanted to talk about something. When I graduate from high school, I wanted to go to college and become a mechanical engineer. So last summer, I signed up for an NJIT robotics summer camp, and it was an amazing experience. And it really inspired me to create this David Brearley Robotics Club. So this year we have two main projects. One is an LED robotic shuffler that will shuffle between 3 LEDs with the press of a button. The second is an Arduino car. An Arduino is basically a tiny reprogrammable computer. With that, I'd like to hand it off to Michael, who's going to show us where we started with the LED robot.
Well, we began with some basic coding in Python. Then soon we graduated into turning on and off LEDs with an Arduino. We had a few technical difficulties, myself included, but one of the people who didn't is Hector Tiro, who will be talking now.
Good evening, Superintendent Arlington, Mr. Davies, Dr. Lott, board members, and the Kenilworth community. So like Michael, I was more successful in building my robot. Let's see. As you see here, I have 3 LED lights on this breadboard that is connected to an Arduino, which is connected to my computer for the code. So if I press this button on my breadboard, there we go. My LED lights will turn on and cycle every time I hit the button. There we go again. 1, 2, 3. I also want to mention that an engineer has been mentoring us. Mr. Carr has been teaching us many new things about robotics that none of us have learned yet. He's also been preparing us for the possibility of competing in robotics competitions in the nearby future, which is very helpful. If you're watching, Mr. Carr, I want to thank you for your support on behalf of the Robotics Club. Lastly, I also want to thank the administration and the Board of Education members who are spotlighting us this evening. It was such a pleasure. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Hector. So, Dennis, could you explain the final project for this year?
I will, Ned. Hi, everyone. So this is our first design for the Arduino-controlled robot car, and this was my first design that I all did by myself, and it has an Arduino, the motor driver, and the Bluetooth module, and a battery. But me and Nan worked together to try to make a better design, which we will have everyone build, if Nan could show it, like that. Nan, can you elaborate?
Yeah, so we changed up the design, added another battery pack. It still uses the same chip as before, which Dennis has on his robot, and the Arduino is right here, supplying code to everything, as well as the Bluetooth module that's connected to the phone. So, thank you, Dennis, for explaining that. And because of COVID-19, we've had to create our own projects, as you can see. But next year, we plan to compete in with an organization that Hector kind of alluded to before. Mr. Carr works for them. They're FTC. It stands for First Tech Competitions. This year, we will build a competition and compete virtually, but next year, we have the possibility of competing in person. We'll build our robot with the help of Mr. Carr this year, as well as freshmen from Kenilworth University next year. Thank you all for giving us this opportunity once again, and have a great evening.
So I just want to say thank you so much, Robotics Club, for that. It's really impressive to see your work in spite of a pandemic and being able to collaborate over Zoom or Google Meets or whatever it is you use and to do that work. So really appreciate it. Thanks for inspiring us, and just so happy that that group is a bunch of 9th graders and middle school students. So it's great to see, it'll be great to see where the Robotics Club goes in the future. And thank you to the board for your support of that club. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, club members. We appreciate you taking the time to show your inaugural efforts this year. We look forward to supporting and seeing what you can do in person, fingers crossed, next year. So thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Good night, all. Yeah, they could,
Sorry. And the Spotlight students are adjourned also.
Have a good night, everyone. Take care. Thank you for coming out. This is the most people we've had at a board event since last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next up, we have our annual audit presentation. As you may recall, The audit presentation was delayed due to some difficulties at the state in coming up with their pension calculations. So all the reports were postponed several weeks and actually months. So the board did adopt accept the auditor's report for 2019-20 last month. Mr. Holsart is here this evening to review his findings as well as answer any questions that the board might have. So, Mr. Holsart, thank you for joining us this evening, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
So I just wanted to just briefly discuss some things. I know I gave to Vince an executive summary, just outlining basic things that occurred during the audit. Most importantly, the results were excellent. There's nothing I need to bring to your attention for improvement, but we're doing the things we need to do to be successful financially. Also, our free balance at the end of June 30th, 2020, the free balance we're allowed to use for whatever we deem fit was $569,620. But in addition to that, we also have several reserves set up for maintenance and capital improvements. And we use those money to help offset budget costs each year, which helps maintain a stable tax rate. It's not easy to manage, but Vince does a great job of it, along with the board's input. So I'm happy to report that we seem to be in good financial position as far as that goes. And other than that, I'd just like to really just take the time to thank Vince and his staff. Again, as it's affected everyone, this was a bit of a unique year. We did as much as we could remotely. Vince did a great job of getting us the records we needed. That being said, we still need to come into the district and perform certain tasks that just really can't be done virtually. It's just too cumbersome. And Vince and his staff made it a safe environment for everybody, and we really appreciate their efforts in helping us to complete the audit. And everything, all things considered, went very smoothly. With that being said, I'd be happy to go over anything in the report or to take any questions in general.
Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Holsart. And once again, thank you as well for accommodating the needs of my office and spreading out the dates and the number of people that were in the office to deal with the COVID, especially during those summer months when a lot of things were still uncertain. So we do appreciate that. So thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. Good seeing everybody. Take care. Good night.
Okay, I'm going to use the district superintendent update section carved out for me to make space for tonight's budget presentation. Before that, you do have in your packet the HIB report for the month, the monthly enrollment report, and then the suspension discipline report. Just as a reminder, later in the meeting, you'll be voting on the HIB report from January. But without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mr. Ganella to begin the budget presentation.
Yes. So good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you. This is the first of several public presentations that we'll be doing on the budget. The Finance Committee has been working diligently over the past several months, as well as the Personnel Committee, to put together this budget for full board review. Tonight's presentation, however, will focus on Phase 1 of the 2021-22 budget. Phase 1 is the leadership team's budget and consists mostly of supplies and materials and services needed to provide the instructional program. The budgets have been reviewed by the administrative level, by Mr. Arlington and myself, and the Finance Committee basically did essentially a line-by-line review and had a good discussion with each one of the administrators regarding their budgets. Attention at that time was given to look for improved budgetary efficiencies and provide the committee with, and now the full board, a better understanding of how these funds will be used to focus on standards and align the budget to the district goals and improving student achievement. So I'd like to now turn it over to, we're going to be reviewing each one of the budgets, which include the curriculum, professional development textbook section of the budget, the David Brearley instructional program, the Harding school program, guidance and assessment, special education and out-of-district placements, and the athletic program. So here's just a brief summary of where we are of that phase one portion of the budget. It totals about $1.2 million, and there's an increase of about $105,000 over last year's budget figures. Mr. Arlington.
Just want to spend a few minutes sort of setting the tone and sharing kind of how we got here. So far I'm really pleased with where we are in the budgeting process. It's been really collaborative and thoughtful and really iterative. In other words, right, we're constantly looking at drafts and going back and seeing where our priorities lie. So zero-based budgeting continues to be a best practice and makes sense, but we're trying to move past that a little bit too, right? Trying to tether all of our budgetary priorities and asks to our district goals so that the budget doesn't drive our goals, but rather our goals drive our budget. And so you know our goals already. I won't spend time reviewing them. I frequently update the board. I did a couple months ago. Mr. Davies and Mr. Bubnowski share progress that they're making towards their school goals in regular updates as well, but they're kind of existing here as a reminder that they matter. You'll see the actualization of this when the leadership team members present their goals or their budgets. I don't want to, or I won't sort of steal their thunder, but I will preview different ways in which the big asks fall into the buckets of our district goals. And all of these sort of have an eye on our return to school post-pandemic as well. So for example, Ms. Kukula will be talking about ways we're ramping up our multi-tiered system of supports with a sharper eye on college and career readiness, and those tightly aligned to our goal around intervention. Mr. Davies and Dr. Lott will speak a bit about the creation of a new makerspace at Brearley and expanded technology tools, which again can be bucketed off into our goal, focused on future readiness. And the C&I team will talk a great deal about PD, which ties to our goal of providing teachers with more high-quality, job-embedded professional learning in ongoing ways. So some of my work as superintendent is holding up the asks that we get across these guided questions as a way of sort of differentiating needs from wants. So as I combed through the budget and the different budgetary requests, I held those requests up against these three big questions. Which ones or which asks most tightly align to the support of our district goals? Which budget requests will have the greatest impact on kids at the classroom level, on the playing field, on the stage, and then which budget requests are high yield. You'll see a great prioritization of curriculum, instruction, assessment, and professional learning in this budget that we're presenting tonight. And so as a segue, I'll turn it over to our curriculum and instruction team to drill down into those requests a bit more. Maybe.
Now we're good?
Yeah, it's jammed. Oh. Not really, but I could just advance it by.
Good evening. Enjoy the warm weather tomorrow. It's finally coming. So our three topics today were the curriculum cycle and process. In general, the BOE requires us to every 5 years update our curriculum. What you see before you, part of the packet, that budget packet, is the, in essence, 5-year cycle from this year, I think, going through 26, 27. So you can kind of see what courses need to be updated, how they're updated, and then we make addendums in them if they've been removed from the program of studies. So there's a better grasp about what's actually being offered, what was offered, and then what we move forward to on that end. The process is reevaluated every year. The teachers are selected to write the curriculum. Obviously, they're posted and then approved, and then there are standard guidelines that the state has incorporated. Many changes have come down the line in the last 2 years. Those have been incorporated into the current curriculums and obviously the new written curriculums. So we're very fortunate to have the most up-to-date on that end. So that process is pretty rudimentary, and it's a yearly cycle that goes that way. Some years there are more curriculums to approve than others, but generally speaking, there's usually 12 to 15. Some years may be a little less. Other years, I know last year we had quite a few, and this year we have quite a few, but there is a balancing act to what's getting done. On the new textbook adaptation, it's a pretty good process, and by that I mean, excluding this year, the supervisors provide the teachers ideas regarding what is out there, especially for newer curriculums or just updates, also with the electronic licensing that goes with those books. The biggest change has been on the electronic licensing. In the past, when everything was starting up, you could purchase a 1 or 2 year license electronic out of a 5 or 6 year cohort. Now it's pretty mandatory that you purchase with the books the online license pricing. Once that changes up, they don't allow you to buy 1 or 2 year. They make you pretty much buy the 3 to 6 year, depending on what you need. So we tried to balance out what were required, what's new, what's old, in order to get the most up-to-date on the textbook side and also the online licensing. When new students come in, or if there is a lag for some reason, we will pick up additional licenses. That is all part of this budget. And again, on the textbook side, there are quite a few that need to be repurchased for some older courses. Courses we don't offer and other courses that we run every other year. So those licenses, online licenses, have to be purchased each year for those every other year courses, which is unfortunately a little more expensive than buying them in bulk. But it's ridiculous to do that if you're only offering one course every year, every other year for 3 years, and the other course for the other 3 years. So you'll kind of see the balancing act on what those electronic licenses are. Some things that came up this year, which were a bit of a surprise for us and pretty much everyone else in the state, had to do with our Flash, which helps out the Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry, along with our ELA. The company no longer was offering Flash as of December of this year, which meant that the licenses we had purchased were not going to be able to be used. We worked diligently to upgrade to what we could utilize with a new contract. They provided us some backfill regarding this year, in essence, for free, but then moving forward with that new contract would read. Again, everybody was stuck in that position. We did try to be proactive, and I'm pretty happy with what we were able to get out for the next 5 years for that. Obviously, AP Bio and AP Environmental, as you see, those courses are also changing. And the online resources have improved dramatically, so we're also now updating those textbooks along with that PD that way. Related to the goals that Mr. Arlington had identified, our PD purchases and requests are vetted against the district goals, which is a good way of doing things as it relates to what we can use, what we can purchase, and what we need. Obviously, then PD is then planned within the teachers to see what their needs are, what our student achievement is, and what that data in mind tells us regarding moving forward. The other PD, as I drop down, which ties into textbook adoption anyway, is on the OG program, Readers and Writers Workshop. That'll be tying into the MTSS, which again tied into our, I think it was number 1, which is right now considered the gold standard to imply more meaningful tier work 2 and 3 instruction, as well as lessons that need for tier 2 and tier 3 instruction. The idea is to get the kids ready to go with a good program. Readers Workshop and Writers Workshop are excellent that way to provide positive instruction and educational use as the kids at a lower level start to move up. Ms. Cancian had a slide previously on some of the other portions. We've had great success with last year's grouping, and we're very happy about what that's going to look like moving forward, even with the crazy year ending last year, going into this year. We've also, on the PD side, provided partnership with Rutgers to provide design thinking, professional learning for selected staff at Harding and Brearley. The Future Ready Committee is still working and improving on things that they'd like to bring to the district and implement. We've been very fortunate to have a technology facilitator, Ms. Rifkowitz, who's done a tremendous job since she's gotten here in October. She continues to offer professional learning to support our staff and students, future-ready preparedness. I would say she's probably going 2 to 3 days a week with offerings to our staff, and the staff has been very generous with their time regarding the acceptance of the changes that have come on since the pandemic. And we've been very fortunate to have a lot of work that way. So we're very, very pleased with that process, and we can't wait as that continues on for the upcoming years. Also, ELA coaching is huge regarding Reader's Workshop and Writer's Workshop, and there'll be a lot of work with the staff, especially at Harding, regarding that. So that's coming up also in this budget. We've done the partnership with Rutgers for STEM, and also K-12 have all been trained now in OG, and we're moving that training now to grade 3, the BSI courses in ELL, so all students will be able to follow the same scope and sequence and protocols. And last, on the Get Coach side, which is part of our overall budget, you'll notice what that cost is. However, she's been our consultant for 2 years now. That's Ms. Cohen, in case I didn't mention it. She'll be moving to a monthly basis with our staff, coaching, modeling lessons, critiquing lessons, and co-teaching lessons, as well as tailoring professional learning sessions for those individual teachers. So those are the things that tie into all those goals with all 3 of those. And if you want more detail regarding textbooks and programs, please let me know. But overall, that's as general as I can get regarding our exciting budget. Anybody have any questions? Going once? Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brebnowski is going to present next some highlights from Harding's instructional budget.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Brebnowski.
And as Mr. Luciani stated, the bulk of the Harding, as Mr. Luciani stated, I'll talk into the mic, I'll repeat myself. The bulk of the Harding increase in the budget is due to our English language arts initiatives. So he discussed briefly about our Readers and Writers Workshop and our Orton Gillingham program, which is now a program that is constant across all the grade levels. Not only are we implementing this program K through 6, but we're also embedding it into our ELL program and allowing our ELL teachers to take part in the training as well as our interventionists, the students that work with students that need interventions. So the continuity of our English language program will be K through 6 and embedded in every little nook and cranny in Harding School. And also the increase in the Harding budget is the need for digital enhancements, and Mr. Luciani also touched on that. And what he also noted is that we do have something to celebrate. So our first grade team spearheaded this program, and those first graders are now second graders. And not only did they score above benchmark, 80% of them above benchmark, at or above benchmark for the first benchmark test in September, but this past month in February, we had repeated results. So we're already seeing results from this new initiative, and we're very proud of the work that Mrs. Cancian has spearheaded under the guidance of Mr. Arlington. So what Readers and Writers Workshop is basically, it's a balanced literacy approach that embeds embedded literacy into the program. So Teachers are reading to the students, teachers are reading with the students, and then students are reading independently. And Mr. Luciani touched base on our tier interventions that we're very proud of with our Orton Gillingham program. And K-2 has ran with our Orton Gillingham program this year, and is a scientifically based program that basically it's a multisensory approach, and what it allows the students to do is recognize that letters make a sound, and that when you blend those sounds together, it makes a word. Okay, so by the end of next year, we will have full continuity K-3 in our Orton Gillingham, and full continuity K-6 in our Readers and Writers Workshop. So a Harding teacher said, "I enjoy having this new reading program. It has great mentor texts, supporting materials and lessons, and the kids are enjoying the materials as well. I have launched the writing program, and it is great to have a concrete program that will give us consistency across the grade levels. Again, mentor texts so far are engaging and effective." So basically, the increase in the Harding budget is giving the teachers the materials that they need in order to succeed in this new program. Any questions?
Makes sense. Thank you, Mr. B.
Thank you.
Mr. Davies is going to speak to Burley's budget next, along with Dr. Locke.
Hi again. So it's interesting to present about the budget after talking about some of our students. If you listen to our seniors, they want to go off and become engineers. They want to study biology. They want to go into business and marketing. So it's interesting to hear that. And then to see some of our ninth graders and some of our middle school students talking about the robotics club. And there's just such a hunger for that experience at Brearley. So one of the major pieces of the Brearley budget includes what we're calling the middle school tech lab, makerspace, tinker space, creative space. We want to carve out a space specifically for middle school students to be creative and to design. And it's to break free from the traditional looking classroom and have a large open space with tables, with space for robotics. The robotics club would be housed in this tech lab. And we'd have innovative programming going in there too, to go along with what Mr. Arlington was saying about future-ready and innovative programs. We want to introduce a new middle school elective called Creative Design. So that would complement what we already have in the middle school. We have a strong STEM program, but we want to build upon that and really focus on the design and the creativity. So this space would have 3D printers. It would have the opportunity to have students gather in groups and have the space designed to facilitate that kind of future-ready thinking and that kind of future-ready programming. We have visions for after-school programming as well for that space. So that's the major piece of our budget, and getting the furniture and the devices to fill that space, flat-screen TVs, things to make it look sharp and innovative as well. So that's a big piece of what we're looking to do at David Brearley Middle School. Also, a second feature is our orientation programs. We want to create a Brearley experience, and we want to be able to welcome students into Brearley at all levels, whether you are a Scholars Academy student, a choice student, or coming from Harding to Brearley. We want to just have the most welcoming atmosphere and experience possible so that students feel like they belong to a place in which innovative programming exists. In order to do that, we want to have a dynamic orientation program for our newest students. So we would have a whole day dedicated to our orientation, which would include lunch and Brearley apparel and group dynamics activities facilitated by our entire middle school team, so that our students could go through their day but also get completely acclimated to the middle school experience. So you'll see that in our budget. And then finally, at the middle school level is several, to extend what Mr. Bobnowski was talking about in terms of language arts and literacy, we're trying to follow suit, right? We want to extend what's going on at Harding and bring it forward to the middle school. So we're also looking to move in the direction of book clubs, lit circles, and utilize the workshop model for literacy. And to do that, we're looking to purchase News ELA, or Newsella, no one ever knows how to say it. But that's a program that takes news and literature and that content, and it tiers it based on ability level, so it's able to target readers where they are and then move them to the next level of reading. And that would be something that we would utilize not just in language arts, but also in social studies and across all disciplines. They have articles and literature from all different subject areas. So that is our middle school overview. And then at the high school, similarly in English language arts, we're looking for enhancements. We're continuing to build upon No Red Ink, which was in last year's budget. We're expanding it in this year's budget to add an additional grade level. No Red Ink is writing and grammatical smart design, so it learns along with, it teaches as the students move forward. And so we're currently using that in 10th and 11th grade, and we're trying to expand that to 9th grade as well. So we want No Red Ink to be furthered. And also at the high school level, we're redesigning the English 4 curriculum. Currently, English 4 at David Brearley is British literature. There's nothing wrong with British literature. I love Beowulf. But it's not the most relevant, for some of our students. So we're looking to add relevancy and engagement for our students at their senior year level and provide more engaging texts, more relevant titles, so that requires a revamp. What we're doing is we're carving out 3 different semester options for our seniors to take, so that they have choice in the type of English experience they have as a senior, and that falls in line with their developmental status as 17 and 18-year-olds. So they're choosing which type of English class they have. It'll still be the same standards as in the English 4 curriculum that currently exists, but we're redesigning the titles and the content. So that's going on at the high school in terms of ELA. We also want to build upon the Scholars Academy experience, and so part of that is to have a Scholars Academy coordinator, someone to directly oversee the experience of the Scholars Academy. Dr. Lott and I had a lot of focus group conversations with students at different grade levels within the Scholars Academy. We wanted to know how their experience was and how we could improve the Scholars Academy experience, particularly to keep kids sticking with Brearley. And they gave us a lot of good feedback. They want it to feel like more of a program. Right now it seems to them like a set of courses. And so in order for us to create more of a program, much like our orientation initiatives, we want to have a stronger and larger orientation program for our Scholars Academy students. Also have some Scholars Academy apparel so that they feel like they belong to this group. And also go back to some field trips, which I know always existed with the Scholars Academy, but that's kind of fallen by the wayside, if you will. So you want to bring back some experiential opportunities for our Scholars Academy students as well. Take them off to see some of the different colleges and universities in our area, inspire them along those lines. And then finally, from the David Brearley High School, just a note about our video game design course. It is, it does have some dollar signs next to it, but it's important because it's a part of our creative computing course and our video game design course. And so we utilize Code HS, which is a coding program. And as you heard from our robotics students, they're right in there with that. So it's an important component of our future-ready innovative programming that we continue the video game design course and the Code HS. So that is an overview of the David Brearley points in the budget. Questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. You good?
You got it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Ms. Kukala will speak about student personnel services and kind of how that work umbrellas over both buildings.
Hello.
The Student and Personnel Services Department is pleased to present several new initiatives for the 2021-2022 school year, including efforts from our guidance department, MTSS, and special services. As we continue to review and enhance our multi-tiered system of supports across the district, we're seeing the need for more targeted interventions for our high school students. Our first program improvement proposal, the MTSS Tutoring Lab, or program, would be an after-school or evening academic lab where students could drop in for support in mathematics, ELA, science, and world language, but they could also be assigned supports through our MTSS teams in collaboration with parents. Also at Berkeley, the guidance department proposes the following career and college prep program enhancements. First being Camp College, which is proposed to begin in August. It's a series of workshops free of charge for students about the application process, including financial aid do's and don'ts, finding the right fit in a college, how to interview in colleges, and some other topics. Also in the guidance department is the proposal for our College and Career Center, which would be a dedicated space at Burley for the purpose of students being able to research and apply to colleges and college programs. Also provide a space for college representatives to come speak with our students, as well as career and military recruiters. 2021 summer program planning is underway. As a part of our efforts to address student learning loss, our district-wide summer programming will provide targeted interventions according to student needs. Supports will include credit recovery summer school for high school students, and our special education and at-risk students in both buildings will be able to take part in an integrated summer program with targeted interventions and aligned resources that our data teams are working hard on now. We look forward to the opportunity to begin to get our students back on track. Before introducing our final program improvement proposal, I would like to provide some context about our success in reducing our out-of-district placements for Kenilworth Public School students in the past year. Special Education Code requires school districts to provide a free and appropriate public education, or FAPE, in the least restrictive environment. Mr. Ganella,
Next slide.
I think on my slide there was a diagram, but it doesn't appear to be on
It
this
might not
one.
be, we might have lost the link
Oh,
when we
okay.
converted it, so.
I had a continuum for you.
Sorry about that.
We believe remaining in Kenilworth Public Schools is the least restrictive environment for most of our students. Our child study team works closely with teachers, support staff, the administration, and parents to design individualized programs to meet student needs. And we approach every student with the philosophy that our home school, that Kenilworth Public Schools, is the least restrictive environment for them. Examples of this have included the expansion of our existing resource rooms here at Burley, the development of new programs, and bringing in outside resources such as expert consultants and contractors through our community partners, Care Plus and NJCIE, for example. For next school year, the Special Services Department is proposing an expansion of our SOAR ACE alternative program. The SOAR ACE program was originally expanded in December of 2019 in response to student needs. We found that students needed greater flexibility and supports during the school day. The program has been extremely successful despite the pandemic. This is evidenced by overall improvements in student attendance as well as credit acquisition in the program. However, the program's nearing capacity, both in terms of the number of students in the program and the staff requirements for those students, and student need continues to grow. So for next year, we are proposing an expansion of the alternative program by adding one additional classroom for students who may need additional behavioral supports. Because student safety is our main priority, we also want to provide wraparound supports through the services of an agency like Care Plus, through the addition of potentially a prescribing psychiatrist who could meet with families and students, as well as an additional classroom teacher that would be able to meet the needs of the students in the classroom academically. The expansion of the district's alternative program by adding another teacher and potentially another classroom would continue the district's momentum in meeting the needs of students in the district and ultimately reducing the need to place students outside of district programming. So we appreciate your time and consideration, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Don. Okay, we're going to wrap up with Mr. Miller with an overview of some athletic advancements. Yep. The clicker's up there.
Good evening, everyone. A few years ago, we started to change the curriculum in our middle and high school phys ed programs. We wanted to gear more towards a fitness program where we could teach our kids healthy life skills once they get out of high school. We started 2 years ago by improving some of the equipment that we have in our weight room. We also started to buy equipment that would provide us the ability to have kids in the gym, 40, 50 kids in the gym where they can do these fitness programs. This year, we want to expand on that. We want to add some more equipment to the weight room. We want to add a treadmill. We want to add exercise bicycle. There's another piece of equipment that we'd like to add that gives us the ability to have multiple kids working out at the same time. Unfortunately, this year with the situation we're dealing with, a lot of the equipment we bought last year really hasn't been put to use yet, only because of the situation we're dealing with. But over the last few years, we've really made great strides with our middle and high school phys ed program, and we're looking to continue that as we go. The kids are really excited about, what we're doing in phys ed, and, we're hoping to really continue that going forward through our budget process. Good? Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I just one note regarding the agenda. Yeah. So any resolution that I thought the board could benefit from having more context on, I shared in my Friday update to you. However, in addition to that update, I want to congratulate Lillian Falsitano on her retirement. Lillian has been a paraprofessional for our district for the past 13 years, including supporting some of our most high-need special ed students. So I just wanted to take this moment to wish Lillian well and all our best in her retirement. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, report of committees, review of resolutions, and board discussion. First up, facility, finance and facilities, Mr. Ladati.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As you know, Superintendent Arlington and Mr. Ganella said, the committee's been working diligently with the administrators and Mr. Ganella and Mr. Arlington since January on the budget. We're scheduled to meet again this Wednesday, March 10th, to finalize the tentative budget for board consideration on the 15th. Tonight, we asked the administrators to come in and just highlight a few key areas of the budget. I guess we'll get into a little bit more discussion next Monday. The committee will be formally presenting the budget to the full board for consideration on March 15th. At that time, the board will adopt the tentative budget for submission to the county superintendent for technical review that evening. The committee will continue to actually work on the budget, hone the budget up until April 28th, which is the night of the public hearing. So I guess we won't do it that night, but maybe to the 27th, right, Vince? So,
Right up to the end.
State aid figures were released on February 25th, and we saw a $407,000 increase due to the state's efforts to fund the provisions of the School Funding Reform Act. It presumes that the provisions of S2, which provide for reallocation of funds within the formula between districts, continues according to the statutory schedule, the aid categories. Mr. Ganella produced his budget updates for you. I hope you guys are all taking a look at that. He spends some time on that, and they do outline that issue and also some key budget considerations. On February 24th committee meeting, the committee discussed the ESSER CARES Act funding impact on the budget. Mr. Gutnell, you're going to review that later tonight, or is that going to be for Monday?
Next Monday.
Monday, so during the budget presentation. We also discussed summer renovation projects, which include the masonry repairs to Harding School and the revival of the referendum to address some of the district's educational deficiencies from a facilities perspective. We also actually touched on Harding School's upcoming 100th anniversary. What's that, 2 years or a year, 2 years?
1923.
Yeah, so, it's something we have to start thinking about from a planning category. So, resolutions. Let me just get my calendar to go up here. Resolution number, I just want to go over resolution number 10, which is the Energy Savings Improvement Program. It was approved by the NJ Board of Public Utilities. Actually, in her cover letter to Ms. Rossi, the ASEP coordinator said that the upgrades that will be made throughout the district will increase the efficiencies and reduce the overall energy consumption while saving the district money and reducing its carbon footprint. I applaud Kenilworth Public Schools for making this commitment to pursue the energy savings project. So that's a nice letter for us. Resolution number 11, it deals with Chapter 44. It goes to Chapter 44 with the health benefits. It's really put a financial burden on the district. So Mr. Ganella and Superintendent Orrington have met with Assemblywoman Munoz to basically express our concerns and see if we could do anything about that. As for the rest of the resolutions, I reviewed the billing and financial reports. I found them to be in order. There were no line item transfers that hit the $5,000 cap. You've already heard the auditor's report. I know in last month's report packet, it was a pretty lengthy report. I hope you had a chance to review that. It showed some good things, that the district's in a good position financially, and that the management of financials is proper and not in question. The rest of the resolutions are pretty straightforward, so unless anybody has any questions, or we'll take any questions on the rest of the resolutions for the Finance and Facilities Committee.
Thank you. No questions? Discussion? Thank you, Mr. Ladati. Next, Personnel and Management, Mr. Haberther.
They should be able to hear from here.
Okay.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. There are 10 resolutions from Personnel and Management. I'll go through them quickly. Number 10 is the aforementioned retirement of the Harding classroom aide. Resolution 13 is the approval to hire a part-time speech and language specialist. Number 14 is the approval to hire paraprofessional aides for the 2021 school year. Resolution 15 is a modification of the paraprofessional aide for the 2021 school year. Resolution 16 is a revised maternity leave for a, doesn't say what school it is, but anyhow, it's a revised maternity leave. Resolution 17 is the approval of instructional sports stipends. Resolution 18 is the approval of extracurricular stipends. Resolution 19 is the approval of spring sports athletic positions. Resolution 20 is the approval of home instruction. And Resolution 21 is the approval of substitute staff. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haberther. Up next, Curriculum and Instruction, Mr. Jankowicz.
Hi, good evening, everyone. The Curriculum Committee did not meet, but we are meeting on March 22nd, and I will report back then. In terms of resolutions, only 2 resolutions. Resolution 22 is a revised adoption of certain curriculum items. And then Resolution 23 is approval of the January HIB report. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Jankowicz. Thank you. Okay, any old business? Oh, I'm sorry, my fault. I'm sorry. Policy review, Mrs. Braun, sorry.
That's all right. We have 3 resolutions.
Resolution 24 is amending job descriptions to reflect a change in the name from No Child Left Behind to Every Student Succeeds Act. So there's just 3 positions that were changed based on that new language. Resolution 25, it's a second reading to adopt the Regulations 7425, lead testing of water in schools. It's mandatory. Resolution 26 has several revisions to adopt, all of which are mandatory. I'll note a couple of them. The changes that were made were based on changes in the language, statute, or code. But most notable is policy 7425, lead testing of water in schools. They amended it from being testing every 6 years to now every 3 years. And then also Regulation 2431.1, emergency procedures for sports and other athletic activities. It's a new law. It requires districts to have an emergency action plan in place for serious injuries that may occur during sport activities. And that's all I have.
Any questions, discussion? Thank you, Mrs. Vaughn.
Welcome.
Okay, any old business? I just wanted to mention, I connected with Mr. Arlington in our pre-board meeting conversation last week. As of that time, he is still waiting for the KEA to share representatives who will participate in the TAB committee. Anybody else, old business? Okay, new business?
I have
Sure.
one thing to know. Just to let folks know, a couple weeks ago, I participated in the technology committee that Mr. Arlington coordinated. It was made up of teachers, administrators, Dr. Panici, I think you participated as well. I think it was very engaging. Teachers were very, excited to be there, great ideas. And it was good to see some of that maybe trickle into things that are going on with robotics, with some of the stuff in the middle school, all positive stuff going on. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jankowicz. Well, we would like to acknowledge our celebrations from last week for Read Across America, an initiative designed to encourage children and teenagers to read. And we would like to thank all of our teachers that hosted reading events and celebrations for the students during and after school, and also a thank you to the Kenilworth EA for the generous and wonderful reading supplies and gifts to the teachers and students that participated. And one more piece of business under new business. We'd like to once again acknowledge and thank the students and advisor of the Be Nice Company at David Brearley Middle High School. They're currently participating with St. Teresa's Food Pantry to help feed families in our community. And we'd like to note, on a positive note, in the face of adversity with this pandemic, virtual learning and everything else that has partaken, this small group of students and advisor have accelerated forward despite the barriers to success. So this is encouraging, inspiring, and it reaches far beyond the classroom and definitely embodies the qualities we want our young learners to develop and utilize. So thank you. Anybody else? No business? Okay. Meeting open to the public for comment.
I'll make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. Motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mrs. Braun. All in favor of opening the meeting to the public?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Public comment will now be accepted. The Board of Education sets the limit for public to speak at the board meeting to 5 minutes per person unless prior permission has been granted by the Board of Education for extend time pursuant to Board of Education Bylaw 0167. Public comments are being accepted in the following means. Number one, by calling into the meeting venue at 908-931-9696, extension 2325. That's 908-931-9696, extension 2325. Number two, in person at the meeting venue during the public comment section of the meeting, which is right now. And then finally, electronically via public comments at Kenilworth Schools to publiccomments@kenilworthschools.com. Those messages need to be received by 4:00 p.m. This evening. We did not receive any of those this evening. So if we just give it 1 minute, because there is a delay between our live feed and us sitting right here, we could see if anyone calls on the phone.
Is that somebody's phone ring?
Okay, I think hearing no phone ring, I think we've given that enough time. So if there's anyone in the audience this evening who would like to make a public comment, they can do so. No? Okay.
Okay. Is there a motion to close the meeting to the public, please?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Haberther. The meeting is now closed to the public for comment. Mr. Ganella, are we prepared to vote on the resolutions when you're ready, please?
We are.
Thank you.
Okay. First up this evening, we have finance resolutions 1 through 11. Mr. Ladati?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that the 11 facilities and finance resolutions be put up for a vote by the full board.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Ladati, seconded by Mr. Biner. Roll call. This is resolutions 1 through 11 on the agenda. Biner?
Yes.
Oh, do any of them need to be voted on separately? Biner?
Yes.
Braun?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Haberther?
Yes.
Jankowicz?
Yes.
Ladati?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
No on 6, yes on the rest.
And Panici?
Yes.
For resolutions, personnel resolutions 21 through 27. Mr. Haberther?
Actually, it was 12 through 21.
I'm sorry, 12 through 21 and
And
27.
it was 27 before,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
for those interested, it is the approval of a maternity leave request for a Harding School teacher. My apologies for the oversight. But I do formally make a motion for resolutions 12 through 21 and resolution 27 to be voted on.
Okay. Second. Mr. Biner? Okay, motion made by Mr. Haberther, seconded by Mr. Biner. So there's resolutions number 12 through 21 and number 27 on the agenda. Do any of those need to be voted on separately? Okay. Biner?
Yes.
Braun?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Haberther?
Yes.
Jankowicz?
Yes.
Ladati?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Panici?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, curriculum instruction, 22 to 23.
I would like to make a motion to move resolution 22 and 23 to vote on.
Second. Okay, motion made by Mr. Jankowicz, second by Mr. Biner. Do any of those need to be voted on separately? Okay. Biner?
Yes.
Braun?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Haberther?
Yes.
Jankowicz?
Yes.
Ladati?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Panici?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. And last but not least, policies, resolutions
I'll
20.
make a motion to move resolutions 24 through 26 for voting.
Okay. Mr. Biner, Angela thanks you. Okay. Motion's made by Mrs. Braun, seconded by Mr. Biner, 24 through 26. Biner,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Haberther,
Yes.
Jankowicz,
Yes.
Ladati,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Panici.
Yes.
Motion's carried unanimously.
Mr. Canal, is there a need to go into closed executive session?
There is.
Okay. Can I please have a yep. You want to read first? Or should we make the motion? Motion, right? Okay.
We can,
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay. Second? Thank you.
all right. The Board of Education meet in private section from which the public shall be excluded to discuss the topics of personnel, KEA negotiations, PSA negotiations, Winfield send receiver agreement, and attorney-client privileges, which private discussion is being held pursuant to Section 7B and 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters under discussion will be disclosed to the public as soon as final decisions are made and voted upon. Okay. Biner?
Stepped out.
Okay.
Mr. Gannell, are we coming back into public
We will
session?
not be
We will
coming
not, okay, because I thought you normally tell the public.
Need a vote on going into closed session.
Yes, okay. Biner? Yes. Braun?
Yes?
David?
Yes.
Haberthur?
Yes.
Jankowicz?
Yes.
Ladati?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Benici?
Yes.
Okay. The Board of Education is going into closed session to discuss the matters, above matters, but will not be taking any further action this evening. The meeting will adjourn at the end of the executive session. Therefore, this will conclude the YouTube live portion of the meeting. Thank you for participating this evening, and the board looks forward to meeting with you when there are no restrictions. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Bye.